Weather Service. The claim is simple. A routine bulletin rebrands lunar light as lethal and instructs you to stay indoors, pull blinds, and distrust anyone at the door. The pressure is compliance fatigue under crisis, where repetition turns absurd rules into muscle memory. Under the hood, it runs a reversal engine. Real alerts tell you to seek neighbors and check on loved ones, but this one tells you isolation is safety and that voices outside are imposters. That design choice primes you to ignore help when you will actually need it. Some argue the bulletin is just mood-setting theater. The clearest detail is the direct command to do the opposite of emergency best practices, which means the broadcast is not informing you, it is conditioning you. Compared to later episodes, Weather Service is smaller in scope, but sharper in method. Impact. Viewers start practicing closed curtains and locked doors, and in the world of this station, that habit is how the real harm gets in. Button. If a weather crawl tells you the night sky hates you, it is not about the sky, it is about your trust. Contingency. The verdict is that this is the skeleton key to the channel. A pre-recorded national address instructs citizens to die rather than be captured, framing despair as duty and reciting a patriotic cadence to give the order moral weight. The measurable stakes are mass casualties by compliance. In a real emergency, orderly calm preserves life. Here, orderly calm becomes the weapon. The mechanics are failover triggers in a broadcast chain, activated on purpose to spread the wrong instruction fastest. Counter readings say it is alternate history flavor. The on-screen structure pushes harder. It uses national emblems and cadence to overwrite personal instinct, meaning the assault is psychological, not tactical. Against Weather Service, Contingency widens the target from households to the entire map. Impact. Once you accept that an official seal can sing you into silence, any later advisory becomes a loaded coin toss. Button. When the message drapes itself in a flag and asks you not to live, the flag is not the point. The obedience is. Station ID. The clean logo reel becomes a possession event, and that is not a metaphor. The bumper that should restore normalcy instead declares the station belongs to something else, and the act of watching is treated as consent. The pressure is attention capture. Station IDs catch your eye between programs. This one makes the interruption the main act. The mechanism is ritualized branding that swaps community pride for an invitation to a new owner. Some viewers claim it is satire of local pride. The sticking detail is the direct address to you as a participant, which flips the role from audience to subject. Versus Contingency, it feels smaller, but that intimacy is the point. Impact. You stop trusting the breath between segments, which means the channel has colonized your exhale. Button. If the logo stares back, you are not watching television. Television is watching you. Real sleep. The verdict here is predation by self-help. A guided program offers better rest and then smuggles in thought replacement, stripping personal anchors like names and faces and replacing them with blank space. The stake is cognitive erosion. Sleep advice works by repetition, and that mechanic becomes a scalpel when the lines instruct you to forget. Under the hood, the cadence mirrors real relaxation scripts, so the trap feels legitimate as it erases you. Pushback says it is only dream logic poetry. The solid detail is the instruction to remove names and replace them with empty shapes, which is not poetry, it is identity sabotage. Compared to Weather Service, real sleep does not need an event outside, it makes the hazard inside. Impact. You begin to fear your own routines, because even rest can be hijacked by a pleasant voice. Button. When a lullaby asks you to forget the people you love, it is not music, it is a muzzle. Show for children. The claim is that indoctrination scales best when it smiles. A puppeted program laces playtime with lethal advice and frames disobedience as bravery, persuading young viewers to reject guardians in favor of a new friend. The measurable pressure is the parent-child link. If a broadcast can fracture that bond, the entire safety net tears. The mechanics are bright colors, a simple rule song, and a final dare dressed as a lesson. Some call it parody. The sharp detail is the way the lesson escalates from harmless mimicry to dangerous imitation, which is a classic grooming pattern. Against real sleep, this one targets a different vulnerability, the trust of kids. Impact. You will never again hear a sing-along without interrogating the rule it teaches. Button. If a puppet says only it can protect you, the danger is not the puppet, it is what the song makes you do. Digital transition. The verdict is that the channel wants the tune to outlive the tower. A shutdown notice frames analog as obsolete, but the subtext is that the message does not need the old machine because it has already moved into you. The stakes are medium independence. When infrastructure changes, institutions beg for patience. Here the station declares it will persist no matter what you unplug. The mechanism is a farewell that sounds like a vow. Counter readings say it is just archival flavor. The sticky detail is that the announcement implies the signal is no longer strictly a signal. It feels like an introduction to a parasite that learned to ride every format humans build. Impact. You realize the enemy is not the antenna, it is the story that learned to live without one. Button. If a channel says it will be with you always, believe it and leave anyway. You are on the fastest available route. The verdict is that convenience can be weaponized with a pleasant voice and a map you do not check. A navigation system detours a driver toward isolation while repeating a phrase that feels helpful and becomes a spell. The stakes are immediate and personal. A voice on your dash speaks with calm authority and turns a city into a funnel, one road at a time. The mechanics are incremental deviations from expectation, each small enough to ignore until the last turn becomes a trap. Pushback says it is a general warning about over-reliance on technology. The specific tell is how the repetition chips away at the driver's intuition, which is the same training weather service began at home. Against contingency, this is a one-car war with the same playbook. Impact. You start looking at road signs with your own eyes again, which is the smallest kind of rebellion and the one that matters most. Button. When help keeps saying the same sentence until you stop thinking, that is not help, that is hypnosis. Here is a vignette you can feel in your ribs. It is late, and your porch light flickers. Across the street, a neighbor waves too long, palm flat and stiff, mouth open in a smile that does not curl the eyes. Your phone vibrates with a local alert that says do not let anyone in, and then a second alert arrives saying the first was a prank. One of those two came from this station. The game is deciding which, without opening the door. Here is another. You wake to a program you did not remember setting, a calm voice noting your breathing and promising clarity. For a moment, the words, help. Then the voice asks you to picture your mother and remove the lines from her face until there is nothing left. The pillow feels heavier than the room. You sit up and turn on a lamp that suddenly looks like a camera. Do not glamorize harm. Focus on craft, logic, and psychology. Final verdict. Local58 is not a monster in a costume. It is a training regimen that turns trust inward and then severs it. Weather service teaches you to close the blinds. Contingency teaches you to close your future. Station ID teaches you to open yourself to a new owner. Real sleep drains your names. Show for Children reroutes your kids. Digital transition survives the power cut. The GPS episode walks you to the edge. The fix is not bravery. It is literacy. Ask who benefits from a rule that isolates you, and then choose the one thing this channel hates most. Choose to verify with a human voice you already trust, in daylight, face to face. If a broadcast can train you wrong, you can train yourself back. The lesson starts when you turn the volume down and write your own instructions in a notebook that no one else can overwrite.